Hello world, I am Attila. Today I will talk about how to create a mind book. And this was a book about the mind, how it works, and how it recognizes patterns. It also talked about AI and neural networks, but I won't really go into details about that because I made a video about neural networks yesterday. I will link that video in the description and it's on the screen now. You should check that out if you are interested in more details. So it argues that the pattern recognition describes the basic algorithm of the neocortex. Neocortex is a part of the brain. And the current critics say about artificial intelligence programs that they don't really understand what they are saying. So, for example, the GPT-3 algorithms can create a nice text that looks like a text, but there are stupid things in it which you can see that it really doesn't understand anything what it's saying. But the book says that the mathematical techniques that have evolved in the field of artificial intelligence are mathematically very similar to the methods that biology evolved in the form of the neocortex. But the brain is incredibly complex. There are a lot of these pattern recognition modules in it, while AI systems haven't reached that level yet. And but our mind also has its limitations. So, for example, most people have difficulty in discarding and transcending the ideas and perspectives of their peers. So we still have this herd mentality. We want to go with the crowd. We can't depart from it. And then it talked about the basic qualities and the basic processes of the mind. And it says that our memories are sequential and in order. They can be accessed in the order that they are remembered. We are unable to directly reverse the sequence of a memory. So, for example, try to say one of your past passwords out loud in reverse order without writing it down. It's very difficult. And you can also try to say a sentence or a well-known song in reverse order, and you will have it will be difficult, while for a computer it will be an easy task. And there are no images, videos, or sound recordings stored in our brain. Our memories are stored as sequences of patterns, and memories that are not accessed dim over time. So, for example, you can't visualize the person that you met on the street yesterday, and if you can, you are very good, but you can't it's impossible to remember two people that you only met once 2 weeks ago on the street. And we can recognize a pattern even if only part of it is perceived, seen, heard, or felt, and even if it contains alterations. Our recognition ability is apparently able to detect invariant features of a pattern, characteristics that survive real-world variations. So, let's see an example. There is an image on the screen now about famous people, and you can recognize these famous people even though they are variations of images and they are distorted somehow. The computer would have difficult time currently recognizing these famous figures. And our conscious experience of our perceptions is actually changed by our interpretations. And we are constantly predicting the future and hypothesizing what we will experience. This expectation influences what we actually perceive. So, for example, there is a classroom and there are a whole class in it, and there is a teacher, and everyone will remember to different aspects of the lesson, because each of us has their different interpretation of the word. We are different, we are unique, and we are not interested in stuff, and others are more interested in stuff. And each of our routine procedures is remembered as an elaborate hierarchy of nested activities. And this same kind of hierarchy is involved in our ability to recognize objects and situations. So, for example, we all have some routines, and these routines are just lists that are actions that we go through in order. And we have 300 million pattern processors in our minds, and that sounds like a lot. But each of these pattern processors, they don't have so there is a redundancy factor. We don't just have one single pattern recognizer for Apple in each of its forms, written, spoken, and visual. We have multiple ones, and redundancy not only increases the likelihood that you will successfully recognize each instance of an apple, but also deals with the variations in real-world apples. So there are likely multiple hundreds of recognizers for each apple, for each kind of apple, and for each variation of an apple. And what these pattern recognition module is doing is computing the probability, that is the likelihood based on all of its previous experience, that the pattern that it is responsible for recognizing is in fact currently represented by its active inputs. So there is this hierarchy. On the top there are these inputs, and then there are these pattern recognizers who have these inputs, and each of them has an input, has a pattern that they have to recognize. And if the right inputs are fired, if they are active, then they can recognize a pattern. And so there is this hierarchy, and information flows not just up that, hey, we recognize a pattern, but for example, if you read the pattern apple, you will go with the letters that A, P, P, L. The brain sends down a signal that we will likely see an E in the end, because that's a very likely scenario if we see in this combination of letters. So we have these thoughts, and each of our thoughts are linked to some experiences, or our memories are all in sequence and in order. And we have two kinds of thinking modes. First is the undirected mode, and it's when you just let the links play out. So this is when you don't try to think about a particular topic or solve a problem. You just let go with the flow, and we experience this during meditation and dreaming. And the directed thinking is when we attempt to solve a problem, we attempt to think about some particular topic, and we want to stepping through lists in our neocortex. So we have all these lists with all these patterns, and we want to find a particular one. And so there are these patterns, but in real world, all these patterns have multiple variations. And the feature, so like when these patterns are transformed in the real world, and we deal with it with the feature called feature invariance, and these are 4 ways. So the first capability is called auto-association, and it's the ability to associate a pattern with a part of itself. The second method takes advantage of the redundancy because especially for important items, we have learned many different perspectives and vantage points for each pattern. So, thus many variations are separately stored and processed. So, if you are able to recognize an apple from 5 vantage points or perspectives rather than one, you will be more likely to recognize an apple in the real world. And the third and most powerful method is the ability to combine two lists. And this is how we understand the language phenomena as metaphors. So we have multiple lists, and we have past experience from different fields, and we try to apply our past experience from different fields to our current field. And the fourth method derives from the size parameters that allow a single module to encode multiple instances of a pattern. So, for example, we have heard the word steep many times, and we expect the E letter to be long. And we can actually indicate that the duration of the E has a high expected variability. So it is different for each individual, not for each individual, but it can be highly different. And patterns triggered in the neocortex trigger other patterns. Partially complete patterns send signals down the conceptual hierarchy. Completed patterns send signals up the conceptual hierarchy. And we have cultural rules that have to be enforced in the human brain. So, for example, this was very important throughout evolution, because we were in tribes, and if you did something that the tribe didn't like, then you would die alone. Every thought that we have triggers other thoughts, and some of them will relate to associated dangers. So we have these cultural taboos that we can't think about, and in dreams these taboos are relaxed. And it turns out that relaxing professional taboos is useful for creativity and creative problem solving. So it's actually quite a fascinating topic. I have heard from Dave Lee, who I highly admire. He said that when he wants to he has a difficult problem that he tries to solve before bed, he goes to bed thinking about that problem. Because when he wakes up, sometimes he just got a completely new approach to that problem. He has a completely new solution. And now I recognized what it does, because we all have these cultural rules that we have in our minds. And throughout the daytime, we can't just ignore them because they are part of our minds. But during sleep, these taboos are relaxed. So he's able to come up with a very creative ways to solve a problem that he can't think about during daytime. And that's actually quite fascinating. And the next thing that we have all heard stories, or we all had relatives that one part of their brains were damaged, and then they had to relearn some skill as writing or walking or speaking, and they were able to relearn these skills. And this implies that there is a common algorithms across the entire neocortex. So we have these individual regions, and there is not a single one region that has solely one purpose, that it can only do that. but different regions can take up the roles of other regions. But these relearned skills often won't be as good as the past ones for three reasons. And the first reason is that because the skill that you lost, you practice that skill throughout your entire lifetime. So if you practice something, you will get very good at it. The second is that a region takes up the role of the region that was damaged, but that region also had some tasks to do. So now it has to do two things, and it won't be able to do that as efficiently as it was able to do one thing. The last is that although our regions are not completely specialized, they are optimized with evolution. So, for example, the regions that are close to our mind, they became better at optimizing or recognizing objects and characters. And it said that a key aspect of creativity is the process of finding great metaphors. And finding a metaphor is the process of recognizing patterns despite differences in detail and context. So metaphors, they are not just for the literature lesson. So it is talking about having experience from multiple fields and about applying your past experience from different fields to your current thing that you are working on. And the technique that the author uses when he works is that to combat increasing specialization is to assemble the experts that he has gathered for a project and encourage each one to teach the group his particular techniques and terminology. So we tend to become increasingly specialized in the things that we are do, and that's not very good, because I have read a book about this. It's called Range. I will link it in the description, and it's on the screen now. And it's about that humans are good at looking at the big picture instead of specializing. And for example, AIs are very good at specializing, and they will take up and they will replace us if we specialize too much. So we also have to look at the big picture instead of like just bogged down in the details. And in the end, it talks about that evolution accelerates inherently, and that its products grow exponentially in complexity and capability. So it said that when we work with AI and with our brain, we will get to know more about our brain and AI, and this knowledge will grow exponentially. And in the end, we will merge ourselves with AI, and that he isn't very afraid of it, because he thinks that the devices that we use, for example, our phones, and the cloud of computing resources to which these devices are virtually connected, these devices are extensions of ourselves, and you don't feel, or I don't feel whole without them, or the author doesn't feel whole without having their devices and having his devices and having his devices able to access the internet, watch videos and things like that. And we will continue to merge with these devices that we created. Another interesting thing that it said that other intelligent species are likely not to exist, because if they existed, we would have noticed them, given the relatively brief time that elapses between civilizations possessing crude technology consider that in the 1850s, the fastest way to send nationwide information was the Pony Express, to its possessing technology that can transcend its own planet. So, because this technology and this knowledge is exponential, soon they will have technology, and so first they develop, and they are able to use simple technology and simple things, and then in a short amount of time they are able to transcend their own planet and go to explore the universe, and we haven't met with one of them as far as we know it. And the last thing that is said, that the primary reason that people believe that life is getting worse is because our information about the problems of the world has steadily improved. So in the past, we also had problems in the world, but we didn't know about it. And today, with the media and all the things, the nature of the media is to hype up things, because it can't make money about telling the headlines that there was peace in Europe for, 100 or 50 years, and in different countries like that. So yeah, this was an interesting book. It is definitely fascinating to learn about our minds. And the second part of the book wasn't so interesting, so you can skip that if you choose to read it. So thanks for coming in. I have a YouTube channel where I create videos every day. I read one book every day and share the things that I learned from that book. So you should follow my podcast or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are interested. I'm also active on Twitter. You can reach me there or in the YouTube comment section. I will welcome any feedback that you might provide. So thanks for coming in. Bye bye.